Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to the Facebook page of Poornam Ecovision Foundation and YouTube channel Apala Paryavaran. Today is the 55th webinar of the series which we have started since August 2020, and we are going live for the 55th session in the 55th week. So today is a special webinar which we have conducted for reviving the urban rivers through people's participation. And for that, we have Mrs. Shailaja Deshpande ma'am with us. So before starting the session, I would like to introduce you all to Poornam Ecovision Foundation. We are into environment and waste management, and ours is a social enterprise. So we have been working in this field in almost for 9 years now. And we have projects like fabric upcycling, e-waste and plastic waste management, and green consultancy, under which comes composting, rainwater harvesting, and biogas projects. So if you are interested to collab with us or get contribute to our projects through any of the work or volunteering, you can contact us on our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn pages or on WhatsApp. So let us get introduced to our today's speaker. Shailaja ma'am has done a diploma course in sustainable management of natural resources and nature conservation. She has done this course in 2010 and has done diploma in advanced field of botany in the year 2011 and 2012. So she has done a course in groundwater and watershed management by ACWADAM, decided to pursue her own interest by winding up the running businesses. She has urged to do something in environment from 2014 onwards, and she has been working on the revival of the rivers. She is an active member of the group and been practicing toxin-free lifestyle in her own house since last 7 years. So she is the director of Jeevitnadi Foundation, that is Living River Foundation. So let us commence with today's session, and we now know why she is with us to guide us on many aspects, and I hope through her session we get many points which we can do in our day-to-day lives for reviving the urban rivers. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Tanvi. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for giving opportunity to Jeevitnadi-Living River Foundation to have a dialogue with your participants. Give me a moment. I'm just sharing my screen here. So, and
Sure.
then I will start my session.
Yes.
So, I think this is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So basically today we are going to discuss about the river revival, mostly and specifically on the urban rivers, because we all know that we urbans are the maximum polluters for environmental, any ecosystem for that matter, if it is mountains or hills or water bodies or anything. Urbans actually create more impacts than the other regions. So we will be discussing in detail, not exactly in detail, but in precisely with few pointers on how community can be part of towards the river revival. So today I'm going to be talking to you about urban rivers, but let us first understand what type of rivers are in our country. We have majorly two types of rivers. One, the rivers which flow through our Himalayas, which are perennial. Perennial is for they flow through 12 months of the year. And there are peninsular rivers which are totally dependent on the monsoons of our country. So they are monsoon fed rivers. And again, most of our peninsular rivers are in Western Ghats. Most of them originate from Western Ghats except Tapi, Narmada, and few other rivers which originate from Vindhya and Satpura ranges. And leaving those few rivers, most of our major rivers flow through Western Ghats. And again in Western Ghats, because it is a escarpment between the Arabian Sea and the other region, Deccan Plateau, there are certain rivers which flow on the west side, which go into the or drain into Arabian Sea, and there are many rivers which go towards the eastern side, which drain into Bay of Bengal. So now we are going to be talking more on the eastern flowing rivers, because right now where we are situated in Pune, and if there are participants from Pune or Western Ghats and in urban areas, most of our rivers are flowing towards east side. So river, unless and until we understand the stages of the river, it's very difficult to revive the river, because every stage the river is different. Her temperament is different. She behaves differently in different stages. So I will broadly categorize the rivers in three stages: where she originates, which is at the source region, and most of the time it is somewhere in the mountain. But please do not consider that always the source region is on the top of the mountain. It doesn't happen that way. But the source region is somewhere in the mountain. Then she comes into the plainer areas after leaving from the mountain, which is a floodplain of the river. Then from the floodplain, she keeps flowing towards meeting towards the sea, as we all know. So where she has a confluence with the sea or ocean, that's called as mouth of the river. Now, when we talk about the Pune here, we are seeing this round. Suppose Pune is situated here, because most of our rivers, particularly flowing through Pune city, Mura, Mutha, Pauna, Devnadi, Ramnadi, or towards, if you go to PCMC side, Indrayani, Pauna, all those rivers are not more than 35, 40 to 65 kilometers away from Pune. So they are starting from the source region of Western Ghat. All of our rivers are starting or coming out from the Western Ghats. Then Pune is situated here, and then it flows out of Pune, which drains into Bay of Bengal. So when I talk about Pune here, whatever Pune makes the impact, or whatever interventions or whatever changes into this area, is going to impact the source region as well as the towards the down stream region also. So as I told you that it is seen in different stages. Source region of all the rivers are always a live springs. Live springs means there are aquifers below the mountain, and let's say the mountains are the largest overhead tanks of our places. So whatever the first drop of rain which falls on the mountain gets through the fractures and fault, percolates, infiltrates, goes into the aquifers, recharges aquifer, and the source region. When the water table comes out, the source starts coming out in form of a spring. So always please remember, the source of all rivers is not surface water, it is always a groundwater. So there is an interface between the surface water as well as the groundwater. We cannot separate these two things away from the river. If we do not have groundwater, the rivers are going to be dead. Then it enters into the floodplain. As I said, that because the source is a groundwater, rest of the 8 months after the monsoon, the rivers constrict their shape. And during the monsoon, you can see they are bank full. Here, this photo you can make out that the river is small and it becomes a bank full. Age to age, it starts during the monsoon region. Here, at both the places, the biodiversity, the flora, the fauna again is different. And when it reaches the mouth, it is totally different because it's the exchange between the saline water and the fresh water. So obviously the biodiversity and the type of forest which are called as mangrove forest are very, very peculiar to the mouth region. So once we understand the water and the river which is flowing through in our area, where are we situated? Are we situated closer to mouth, or we are near the source, or we are near the floodplain, will make a difference about the revival of the river into that region. So how old are our rivers? I'm just going to put zeros in front of this one. So you please keep counting how many zeros I am putting. Now, if you are realizing that this is, I have put in almost 1 crore years. So imagine the rivers are as old as more than a crores of years ago. So the stages which I showed you in earlier photograph, that is the ecosystem those rivers have created so many years ago, much before we came into the existence. So what is a river? So broadly, what actually comprises a river is her physical properties, her biological properties, her chemical properties will make that river. And mind you, like Tanvi is different than me or anyone else. Every human or every individual is different from one to another person. It's the same with rivers. You cannot put them like a stereotype, because the river type, her temperament, and everything depends on her physical properties, her flows, her floods, from where she is coming out. What is the forest area there? What is the type of rainfall there? What is the temperature? All these will make that river into that region flow. Then what are the chemical properties? Obviously, the nitrogen, oxygen, calcium, and the nutrients and minerals which the river is bringing from the mountains and which are entering into the river. So the composition depends on the strata of the rocks or the minerals which are present into that specific mountain. So that is the part of chemistry. And what is the biological properties? Obviously, what is the flora, the fauna, the edge vegetation which is there? It is again a different composition for each and every river, which is a very unique. You will not see the species which are along the river bank anywhere else other than the water bodies. Water bodies will have very, very specific flora and fauna. And then there is one important factor which comes in form of a human, which human brings in form of obviously the pollutions, the encroachment, and the extraction, and many other. Means the list is ending, unending. Sorry, not ending. It's unending. So biological, chemical, and physical properties all together create this river ecosystem. So any changes between biological properties or physical properties or chemical properties will impact the river ecosystem. And that's why the river ecosystem is very, very complex system. So once we understand, then we can list out what are the urban stresses on the river. So what we all know is the list which I have put it in front of you. There is a deforestation, there is a soil erosion at the source, because there are a lot of developments which are happening in source region in form of farmhouses, resorts, and holiday homes and whatnot. So all most of its hard surfaces which are getting created into the source region. So the soil is eroding, there is a deforestation. Then when it comes into the floodplain, obviously the solid waste enters into the river. Then there is a liquid waste also through industry, agriculture, and domestic sector. Then huge dumping, encroachments, loss of green belts along the river bank, because we are wanting to build each and every inch of our place, and we are reducing the green belts along the river. Then disappearing her feeders network, because the river survives on her feeder network. The streams which meet her actually make her alive. So, and the increasing hardscapes, as I told you, then we are reclaiming the lands, we are destroying the mangrove forest at the mouth. And you know how Mumbai is growing so fast, so it is reclaiming the land which has been usually a forest or mangrove forest, which has been now converted into the change in the land use. So all this contributes to the dying of our rivers. And most importantly, all these things are happening because every one of us, or most of us, we don't know where our water is coming from, how it is coming, where is our water going after we use, after we flush our toilets, after we wash, bathe, wash our clothes, utensils, or whatever. Where is this water going and how it is going? We do not try to find out, and that is the crux where the problem lies. And obviously, because rivers are not on our agenda, we have developments, we have metros going on, we have roads, we have more infrastructure, whatever is required, shopping malls and this and that, but the rivers are not on our agenda. And that is why the state of our rivers is happening. So obviously, when we start to revive the rivers, we also need to change the mindset of the people, that it is my responsibility. If I am drinking water from this city, whatever the drop which I take, I am responsible for that every drop which comes into my house and which I'm utilizing, and every drop which gets out of my house, and how it is going. So, all this comes together, and for that revival, certain things are required. We need to understand the ecosystem. We must have our historical data. We must document what is the existing state of the rivers. We must have some proofs of the floods. Where are the low-lying areas? Which are the flood-prone areas? Which are the drought-prone areas? And all these things means there is a huge amount of science involved. It could be hydrogeology, geography, morphology, you name it, and all science branches are part of this ecosystem. So, if we have to have a scientific and holistic approach towards the restoration, towards the ecological restoration of our rivers, we also need to have them into policy, then planning. And just by making policies and just by planning is not going to be sufficient. We also need to enforce all these laws and regulations to make the rivers, to have the space for the rivers. That should be our principal aim or a goal. See, if we are having a big traffic on the road, there is a traffic jam on the main road, what is our obvious nature? To go into the by lanes. We sort of switch to the by lanes and try to, get away with the traffic jams. But if the river doesn't even have any by lanes, it's going to get over cramped, and then there are going to be major issues. So, though this is more or less have to be done by the government, it is the people who need to create this pressure group to ask them why the waters are not secured, why we are getting floods, what is the quality of water in our rivers, and why it is going downstream. So the all our approach for restoring our rivers must go through the community participation towards the restoration of the rivers, which used to be once upon a time beautiful, serene, naturally flowing, clean. For all this, if we need to understand the river ecosystem and what is wrong with the river, there has to be a lot of awareness. Lot of awareness in form of you can create the events, you can create some sort of a exhibition on the river. You also can have some festival. Now Jeevitnadi for last couple of years have been having a Muthai River Festival, which is an annual festival. Then we also have portable exhibition in boards, which is a story of a river which represents all the peninsular rivers. Then we also organize river walks, nature walks, to talk about the river ecosystem, to speak about the heritage structures, to speak about what is there along this river and why it is so important. So all these awareness programs are necessary where, throughout the year, you are continuously connecting people to the river. Then there have to be some actionable program. Now we have created some actionable programs in form of toxin-free lifestyle, events by the river, and adopt a stretch program, which I will just quickly explain you what these programs are about. As I told you that we have started Muthai River Walks, which happen by registration. During COVID, we have started them virtual. So if people contact us, we take this river walk virtually. And events by the river, any event. See, if you talk about the cross section of society, and if you want the artists to come to the river, if you want the painters to come to the river, if you want the singers to come to the river, so all these programs can be organized on the river, so the cross section of the society can get exposed to the state of the river, and at the same time you can have a dialogue to make that connection possible. Then with the children, we have continued programs through every weekend, Saturdays, Sundays. We meet at different stretches, at specified stretches where there are cleanup programs organized. And we do not stop there just with the cleanup programs. The stretch, understand, know your river, is the nature walk which we take them. So you can see this person is giving how, what type of flora is around, what type of fauna is seen. Then can they do some seed collection, then the cleanup. So when you are coupling it with action and awareness, the understanding of the people becomes more, the connectivity happens in a much more easier way. And most importantly, as I said earlier, documentation is very, very, very important. So this is the chart. This I found it in Down to Earth, and when I started looking at this Down to Earth's map, I realized that Maharashtra is supposed to be the most progressive state, and we are the most polluted rivers into our state. Just see the numbers of other states. Uttar Pradesh 13, Delhi 1, which is Yamuna, obviously. Punjab has 2, Jammu Kashmir has 9, Karnataka has 15, and Maharashtra has 49, which is way above a number. And I feel every person staying in Maharashtra should feel ashamed about this part, that we are generating 8,143 MLD of sewage, out of which hardly 5,160 MLD is being treated, which is really a shame when we are talking about we have a progressive state and still we are not able to combat this pollution, whatever the reasons are. So obviously, what is the outcome? The rivers are suffering with the heavy pollution. You can see this green patch. You are not able to see the water on the surface of the river. It's totally covered with water hyacinth. Or you see the froth which is coming. I'm sure a lot of people have seen on WhatsApp the burning of water in different lakes of Bangalore because of the excessive pollutants are generating the fire into the water. So much pollution. More importantly, as I said, that the river goes downstream. So out of Pune, suppose I am considering what is the downstream of Pune. Let's say Loni Kalbhor, Urali Kanchan, Indapur, Solapur, and we are releasing this quality water to the downstream. Maybe Pune Municipal Corporation and Pimpri Chinchwad Municipal Corporation may be having good amount of budget or provision for filtering their water. But all these places which are there downstream, they are so small. They cannot afford to have a filter plant, and they are forced to use the same water which is getting released by the urbanites. And here, in case I'm specifically telling about the Pune mm, case, because this I'm just taking it as a case study. But may it be Nashik or Kolhapur or Satara or any city in our two-tier city or three-tier city, it doesn't matter. The pollution level is equally bad in every city, for that matter, in every urban areas. So uh, now I'm coming to the point where my responsibility comes to. We have a very bad habit of always blaming, ये सरकार कुछ नहीं करी, ये government is not doing anything, there are hardly any sewage treatment plants, there's nothing which is being done. So, pointing fingers to the others is very, very easy and convenient. But in during that time we forget that there is some responsibility, because it's the same water which we are drinking, which I am drinking, and I'm also equally responsible. So when I talk about the pollution by every individual, how much is the pollution gets generated by us? So if I calculate these, and this research was done by National Chemical Laboratory under the guidance of Dr. Pramod Moghe, where they established the fact that every person of urban areas uses minimum 40 grams of toxic chemicals, right from starting of our toothpaste to mosquito coil, whichever we are using. So 40 grams of chemicals, and if we take population of Pune, say about 50 lakhs, which comes to 2 lakh kilo kg of chemicals every day, only from the domestic sector of Pune, we are polluting the rivers. Here I'm not considering hospitals, industry, or agriculture, just domestic pollution, where every individual, if decides, can have that responsibility. So, on which we started this program, Take the Challenge. Clean our rivers 60 to 70% from our own homes. How do you do that? How do you create? So, how it's just the simple start using more and more biodegradable and natural products in your day to day life. Which are those natural and biodegradable products? So these are some orientation sessions which we take, that how do you start your day with? Why should you reduce certain type of chemicals? What should be part of your daily routine and habits, which actually can not only keep our rivers or water bodies clean, it is also beneficial to our health. So our health and rivers health is connected to each other, because we are part of the same ecosystem. We are part of the same environment. The way human beings are in this environment, so are the water bodies. That is why we again started another program. This is cleaning your rivers from your own homes, which I showed you in the earlier slide. Now, if we have clubs or groups like Rotaries or Rotracts or Lions Club or any other, groups who are socially aware about the responsibilities of uh, the surroundings. So we conceptualize this program, adopt a stretch, Dattak Lena, adopt a stretch closer to your place where you stay, so you don't have to commute a long distance, and start taking care of that stretch of that river. May it be a garbage, solid waste, liquid waste, whatever it is, and start getting connected. So now we have stretches, for every stretch more than 100 to 200 people who are continuously connected. In spite of COVID, at least every day, every weekend, we have more than 15 to 20 people working on the river stretches. So that is, and what do they do doing this? You need not be really an expert. So we start mapping the stretch. What is there? Documentation is the first step towards the restoration of the river. So start documenting when you are coming there regularly. What type of aquatic fauna is there? What type of insects are there? What type of birds are there? And then start listing them. Then there are some ornithologist enthusiasts, they do regular birding. Just catch them and pull them towards the river, and they do this documentation very well, and we have been maintaining this eBird list from time to time for last 5 years on the stretches. Then there are GIS experts. They also want to do something for the river. Okay, come on, do the mapping of the area where we are working. And now this is the interesting map which you can see in 2010. This is the built up land. This is the fallow land. This is the green cover. And you will see in 2019, though the built up land was increased, so also the green cover also got increased. Here, canopy from 49 to 61%. Why did it happen? Because the type of monitoring, vigilant monitoring consistently, which the volunteers were doing, slowly, gradually, the nature started giving response, and the fallow land started getting converted into the green cover. So you don't have to do anything for the nature. All you do is just protect it and don't intervene into the nature. Nature will take its own way to get it developed. So the fallow land of 38,000 got reduced to 3,825, and here the green canopy increased. So this was interesting, where the GIS expert got volunteered and we could document and map it. So everyone, whoever comes to the river, has a job to do. Then there are people who like to document the botany or the flora part of it. We have been documenting this flora at every stage. So this is just an example which I am giving. So there is a, as I told you, there is a specific flora which grows only along the river banks or the water bodies. You will not see that flora anywhere else other than the water bodies, and they are the indicators of the health of the river. So documentation plays a very important role. Then, as I told you earlier, that the groundwater and the surface water also is interconnected with each other. Now, Mutha, we have already channelized, and look at what we have done. Because of these concrete walls, this exchange of water between the ground and the river has been completely stopped. So Mutha has started drying up. So now what we have started doing at Mula River, Mula so far has not been channelized, but we are not sure how long Mula is going to remain like this. Because of the project like riverfront development happen, all these rivers are going to be straightened and channelized. So I don't know how long we are going to make this, but creating people's pressure. Just imagine the 800 meters, we could map more than 8 springs, and out of that, 5 springs have excellent quality of the water. So involving the children along with this, showing them these springs, in month of December and January, children really enjoy, because the lime springs, when they are flowing towards the river, you can see small baby fishes trying to be there into that pool of water, because there is more dissolved oxygen, because the quality of water which is coming through the groundwater is good than the water into the river. So when the children see that, they understand it. So all these things happen if you start involving the children. Then when we have the challenges like rituals, religious activities and all that, we need to do a lot of awareness about these things, for which start involving the local people who are staying. So we introduced the first Nirmalya composting project in one of the temples, where we actually got connected with those ladies who come to the temple for bhajan and kirtan, which they used to do. We taught them how to do this composting. And the projects are now, we have 3 projects going along the temples, where just Nirmalya composting is getting done, so that the offerings or the worship which is given to the god, which usually used to get let out into the rivers, we are trying to stop it at the source. Then involve the children in awareness, different awareness programs, mapping of the habitats, every small habitat, whether it's a pool or a pond, it's full of those food chain and life chain of small insects, then larger insects, then the butterflies and moths and all other things on which the birds feed. Then measuring the DO, dissolved oxygen into the water, season wise. How does every season the dissolved oxygen into the river changes? So if the dissolved oxygen in the river is changing, obviously it is impacting the fauna. If there is no dissolved oxygen, there's going to be no aquatic fauna into that river, and the children understand it very well. Then involve the experts. See, all these things we have been doing, means like there are housewives, there are different mm, sections of people, there are bankers, school teachers who are connected, but we also need specific experts to understand what exactly is the important thing of that area or that stretch. So then people from ICER or NCL research institutes, then doctorates, other doctor experts into the, and Pune is blessed with lot of experts. So we do not have any dearth of experts actually in Pune, and they get connected if we have the things. Then creating the people, the local people only start teaching them how to read this science. Creating the citizen science groups is one of the most important thing which we do, because documentation and data compilation, we need to understand some basics of it. So if we create such citizen science groups, then the researchers or the experts job becomes easy to validate the data, or to bring out the methodology towards the restoration of the river. So all these things we need to do. And then we are creating wetland along the river bank. Then, as I said, the composting projects. Then we did water hyacinth management project. We have been going through the life cycle analysis of the water hyacinth. When does it proliferate? When does it starts flowering? How does it germinate? What is the germination period? How much is the water content into that water hyacinth? All these things, you don't need the experts or researchers for it. It's just our common sense, and we can do these things in our own homes, keeping these pots, and our volunteers have done all these research all by themselves. Experts came into picture only to guide as and when that was required. Then involve the college students for creating these different projects in management of the stresses on the river. So these college students are actually creating a biochar from the water hyacinth which we got collected. As a community, we can do a lot of things for the river. If you know any temple closer to your house or place where you stay, make them, convince them to start nirmalya composting into that temple. So if we decide that all the temples all along the river bank can start having the nirmalya composting project, is going to create a lot of difference. Then brown leaf uh, composting or creating brown leaf management, otherwise it gets burnt, and whatever gets burnt has a air pollution. Then rainwater harvesting structures, promoting water saving devices, and recycling of the dry as well as the wet waste. Action as a responsible individual, as I said earlier, take the challenge. I can clean my river right from my own home. This is the photo which I always show because I wanted to show we are just family of two people. I have a very small composting basket in my home. I separate out my plastic, and this is the compost which I make. Then I use all natural cleaners whichever are there. I make sure that whatever water amount of water goes out of my home is clean by 60 to 70%, and I'm not doing any harm to my river, because not a small piece of plastic gets out of my house. It goes straight away to the recycler. So we can start, changing small habits. Stop plastic, give it directly to the recycler. Whatever the recycling agents are there in your vicinity, start composting. Start using very natural products which you can do for house cleaning, toilet cleaning, bathroom cleaning. Stop all those chemicals which are there, and also for personal hygiene. Most importantly, refuse what is not required, reduce what you can. If we can create a list of 100 items and cut out that these 50 things I don't need, it will automatically reduce your requirements. Reuse whatever comes into your homes. The tins, CD के tins होते हैं या grocery से tin आते हैं for the green tea and things like that. Start using for storing the grocery. Lot of things which you can do. Means I'm sure the women's are the manager of the house and they know a lot of innovative ideas about this. But most importantly, our constitution has given us some fundamental duty and responsibility for protecting our natural resources and improve our natural environment. And we are forgetting our duty and responsibility. We have to keep that in mind. So if we have to keep that responsibility in our mind, we can start adopting our strategies. This is just a Google link which I am sharing, where how to identify your stretch of the river. So these are small questionnaires, set of questionnaires we have created into the Google link, and then we can give you a facilitation once we get connected with each other, that how you can start adopting the stretch in your own place or in your own locality. Most importantly, let us be responsible for our water bodies. We do not inherit this earth from our ancestors. We have borrowed it from our own children. Let us give our future generation what is rightfully theirs, which is a living river. I stop here because I would like to have open questions. If there are any doubts and questions for from participants, I would be happy to answer them. And I request Tanvi to show a 2 to 3 minutes film, if you could show it, please.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing mine so that you can show the film.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, absolutely.
And audible too, right?
Yes, and it's audible also. It stopped then. Visible. You can stop.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think I have tried to exactly match your timing, which was allotted to me, and I'm open for the questions now.
Okay. First of all, I think it was a very nice presentation. Also,
Thank
the
you.
images and the statistics, I personally think it was very disturbing because Maharashtra is a state which, if it decides, can just change the whole picture. And
Exactly.
the trails around the river bodies are very disturbing, even when you just pass by the Nadi
Yes.
side of the
Yes.
Pune. So,
Yes. Yes.
I think I actually love the concept of going into temples and making them aware about the Nirmalya and composting it, because these are the people who think that throwing Nirmalya in the river water is going to give them
Exactly.
punya and all the
Yes. Yes.
get washed.
Absolutely.
These are the people who, if they decide to change their day-to-day activities and the pattern which
True.
they are living, then
Right.
as I said, it can totally change the picture of this concept.
Absolutely.
Yes. So let us move to the question answers.
Okay.
The first question is, what was the lockdown impact on the Mulamutha River? Was it good or bad, or what changes were occurred in this period?
It was very bad. In fact, we have not seen more water has in proliferation in last 7 8 years than what we saw during lockdown period. And the simple reason behind it, as I told you, that our rivers are monsoon fed rivers. Rest of the time they go into the base flows, which is a groundwater. And if groundwater is not sufficient, usually most of water which is there entering into the rivers is our wastewater. And during the lockdown period, if you all remember that the agricultural activity also was in a less quantity, industry was almost stopped. But we had, like crazily, we were using sanitizers and hand soaps, and hospitals were releasing. Then every society went berserk with uh, that sodium hypochloride mm, sprays all over in staircase and societies and areas like this. All this actually came into the rivers, and the rivers were in fact in a more bad shape than they used to be. uh, this is against the north side rivers, because we saw the rivers quite clean, because on the northern rivers the religious activities were stopped. Plus, as I said, they are the perennial rivers coming from Himalaya. And immediately after lockdown, it also rained, and there was a melting of the snow. So the pollution was more or less diluted, and whatever the religious impacts were happening at the source regions into those northern rivers was totally stopped. And that's why the northern part of the rivers we saw beautifully flowing clean, as against the our peninsular rivers, which became more dirty and highly polluted.
Okay, yes, absolutely true. In fact, we had a webinar related to natural products, which we are not generally using, and we do not realize that there's a fad about removing the toxins from the body, but we do not
Yes.
realize we are ourselves putting it on our body.
Yes.
And by using these natural products, we can just stop like harassing our skin and also the environment.
True.
So we actually had a webinar related to herbal products, and Violina is a brand which is located in Pune, and all
Yes.
over. So they supply these products which are natural and herbal products.
Yes.
As we saw
Yes.
in the video, they
Yes.
include shikekai in most of their
Yes.
products.
Yes.
So I personally switched to natural products after watching the webinar.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great.
Yes. So I think, yes, it was absolutely a negative effect after lockdown period.
Yes.
Okay. So the next question is about the capacities of STPs in Pune. So the question is about, do the capacities of STPs in Pune fulfill the need? Like, is it satisfied or
No.
satisfying quantity? And okay.
No, STPs of our city do not fulfill the requirement of our city. That's clear cut, it's there. Moreover, if you see the STPs which have been installed into Pune city, such type of technology, whenever you bring such type of technology, it also needs to get upgraded every second or third year, because there becomes some sort of a, like you have your mobiles, you need some more features into that, so you upgrade those mobiles. It's the same thing for all sort of such equipments. Moreover, as I said, that what are STPs? They are sewage treatment plants. They are not effluent treatment plants. Effluent treatment plants are usually installed into the industry where they know that there is going to be a chemicals which are coming into the plants there. Now, sewage treatment plants' major job is what we flush from our toilets and what we clean from our bathrooms and our kitchens is supposed to go there. So, and the solid gets separated out and the liquid gets treated, for which most of this treatment happens through the microbial activity. Now, microbes are not, they are part of nature. So when there is a chemical oxygen demand increases in the STPs, if we have so much of chemical load coming into the STPs do not function to their capacity. That is another reason. So there are multiple reasons, but very frankly, our city STPs are not of the capacity which they can treat the water. And even if they have the treatment plants in future also of the whatever 100% treatment, they cannot treat the chemicals. That's, we have to understand this bottom line, that STPs will have a microbial activity and microbes will not function normally if the chemicals are added into those waters.
Right, absolutely. Yes. So our series has been specifically tilted towards entrepreneurship opportunities. So there's a question about, are there any career opportunities or entrepreneurship opportunities in this field?
Absolutely. See, I think the sky is the limit. Means right from, as I said, whatever we are mentioning about cleaning of the river, 60 to 70% from our own homes. There is an opportunity of biogas. There is an opportunity of composting. There is an opportunity of recycling dry waste. There is an opportunity of treating the wastewater and recycling it. That is the opportunity. Then there is an opportunity of manufacturing of these products. See, rather than, I would suggest that whatever 1,000 crores X company which has a FMCG brand, it could be any brand for that matter, any running brand you can take for of any cosmetic or any detergent. Rather than, if we have uh, more than 100 entrepreneurs who are locally settled in that place and who know the cities or the area well, and they have a turnover of, let's say, 2 to 10 crores or 15 crores of such 100 entrepreneurs, is more beneficial because they are going to reduce the load of the industrial thing which is going to be there. So there are n number of opportunities for the entrepreneurs into all these sectors, right, into the even manufacturing these products, biodegradable and natural products. Till there we have, I think, every opportunity. Even management of water has seen, as I said, that what, how can the water has seen be utilized for a better purpose for the community also can be thought through. So lot of opportunities.
Yes, yes. So for the time being, we'll consider only these questions. But
Okay.
if you all have any more questions regarding this session and the topic, you can keep commenting under the video in the comment box, and we'll convey your questions to Deshpande ma'am, and she'll be eager to answer all these questions with
Yes.
her high energy, and we could see how passionate she is in this regarding this topic. So thank you so much,
Thank you.
Shailaja ma'am, for associating with Poornam Ecovision Foundation and sparing your valuable time for this session live on Facebook.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
thank
very
you so
much for.
much. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. We are going to continue these sessions every Saturday, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. So keep watching, stay tuned, and keep supporting us for the further videos also. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Tanvi. Thanks a lot.